All right, so I'm going to be straightforward with you guys. We just recorded about 20 minutes of content, and I wanted to really break this down into the five most common situations that will cause your horse to brace against you, and how to deal with these situations to get a horse that is really fully committed and soft all the way around and have ultimate body control. But I'm not going to delete this content. I'm still going to post it on Comfort Zone Horse Training video series, because I did touch a lot of very sometimes a little off topic but very important points into this pair. So if you're watching this, I'm going to put it at the end as a bonus chapter, so you can go ahead and review that and just see it as hey, a little extra information on a little bit everything. Okay, so we're going to start off with looking at one of the main reasons, and the first reason that causes horses to brace, and that's just their fear or their anxiety. Okay, when a horse is scared, his body will tense up, and usually they'll just kind of tighten up and stand right there, and your reaction to that is what's going to define how they're going to react the next time. Okay, so it's very important, and I've said it often in my videos that I see often people get after their horse for the horse doing something wrong and bracing against them, but he did because he got afraid or he got scared, and it was caused by anxiety. So then what you do is that the horse becomes afraid to make a mistake. So then when he's put in that situation again, it's going to be instinctive for him to brace against you. And then, so the goal there is just to never justify the brace, okay? If we look back to the prior videos I posted recently where we talked about pressure release training, pressure release training is basically how we train horses by applying an amount of pressure in order to obtain something, and once they execute what we want, we release that pressure, okay? So how to apply that pressure and how to do it in a very humane and understanding and effective way, this is what will separate the good or the bad from the good trainers, okay? And so this is what I sacrificed my entire career to do, is finding ways to teach the horse something by applying pressure, the smallest amount of pressure for the horse to react with an optimal amount of give. So again, we're going to look at the first thing that will cause a horse to brace, and that's going to be the fear or the anxiety. So if I apply pressure here in a simple flexion, okay, so I've done a lot of those. I've done a million of those, okay? So he knows how to get away from the pressure, how to use his body, and how to get away from the pressure for me to reward him and release him, okay? So that's pressure release. Now, the horse did not brace really against me. He was a little bit slow to give me this flexion. That may just be because we're just getting started. We're not even warmed up. So we're going to warm up as we approach this topic, but anyway, so he was just a little bit slow to give me this flexion, but he did not brace against me. Now, what I could do to make this horse brace against me is just make probably a faster flexion. Okay, so I went a little bit more firm, a little faster there, and I didn't really get a brace, but he did tighten up a little towards the end of that flexion, okay? So my goal is to be able to take a full contact, a full flexion, or ask the horse to use himself fully, to really utilize his body, lift his back, utilize his shoulder, and soften up his neck, and really go forward through the bridle in an instant whenever my hands come into play and I use my leg, okay? So all of the training exercise of body control have for goal to gain control over all of the parts of the body and being able to move them with ease without the horse tightening up against us, okay? So the flexion is always going to be the starting point and the most reliable tool to get rid of any bracing. I like to use the flexion in my training program from the start to finish. I like to use it on my broke horses in between in order to just bring their energy back into balance by doing flexions left and right and really transitioning left and right until they're fully relaxed, their neck is 100% relaxed, in the same state as if he was out in the pasture eating grass, okay? So if a horse is out there in the pasture eating grass, his neck has zero tension in it, he's leaning against the ligament that's tied to his wither, and that's how he can be comfortable there. And it's a similar thing that happens to our horses in my program anyways, where I teach my horse to really use their body and really pitch them loose and they learn to balance themselves, and they do that by lowering their neck because they are really relaxed, and we haven't forced them there. And so I guess I'm a little off topic here because there's a post that we had recently on Facebook where I put some circles and lead changes with TX Whiskey, one of my training horse, and this horse is just a horse that likes to carry his head, especially when he's relaxed, really low. And people call this unnatural. They say it's not like a horse would be loping in the wild, okay? Well, this horse isn't a Mustang out in the wild. This is a horse bred for performance by one of the best stallion and one of the best mare of performance, and it's a horse that has had over 2 years of solid training. So this horse just knows how to use his body. This is the same thing as watching a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old kid run in the grass versus Usain Bolt, okay? One of them is going to look like, you know, like a duck on fire, and the one is going to look really composed and strong, and it's going to look just very easy for him to do. So this is just by being having a body that is fully developed to execute something and do something, and having it repeated and over again, okay? So I wanted to touch this topic real quick because this video got over 200 views, and that's because probably 70% of the comments were very positive comments on how this horse looked fabulous, and 30% were from mostly a bunch of Karens that are calling this, you know, this unnatural, when actually this is just a horse allowing himself to relax 100% while doing fast circled on a very loose rein. So yes, it's a matter of preference whether you find this look attractive or not. It's debatable whether it's natural or not. For sure, it definitely is not the style of a Mustang running in a pasture, but this is the style of a horse turned loose, being really relaxed and using his body effectively. So back to training on Bruce. So back to pressure release. When you apply pressure in order to obtain something, whether it's lateral movements of the rib cage, just moving the feet, lifting the shoulders, or moving the shoulders left and right, at some point in time you meet resistance. That point of resistance is where you need to not go past in order to allow your horse the chance to react to your command. And going past that point of resistance is what's going to cause your horse to brace. Now, in some situations, you will have to increase that pressure against that point of resistance, which in a way is brace, and you need to increase that pressure until the horse gets away from it so that you can offer the release, and he can eventually understand that put in this situation when the legs are pushing him that way and the hands are directing him that way, and I'm asking him to use his body in a certain way, or go a certain place in a certain way, that the horse knows to do that without bracing against me helping him to get there effectively. Okay, so what we're going to look at here is just going to be how we take, let's say, the flexion into shoulder control. Okay, so this is how I like to ride my horses. This is the type of length of rein that I like to ride my horses, and I want to be able to do every maneuver in this length. I want to be able to do it one-handed, or I want to be able to do it two-handed. Now, Bruce is a 3-year-old, and he's going to start his show career in the next month or so, and so I've got him back into a snaffle because I'm probably going to be presenting him with a snaffle, so it's going to be a good way to see how much brace I get from him using a snaffle versus a shank bit. Okay, so here, let's go ahead and lift his shoulder and push him forward. Okay, so I'm going to insist with my voice and sit back on my pockets and push with my leg. And I'm just a little bit exaggerating the movement, but I want to exaggerate my movement because eventually I want to get that nothing scares my horse. I want to like pretend that I turn into Hulk in strength and really grab him far and really squeeze with my legs, and I don't want to hurt him. I'm not doing anything hard. I'm just being really firm, okay? And I want that when I do that, I want that my horse feels my body very, very much in charge, but I don't want him to be afraid of me, okay? So again, Bruce is the type of horse that will naturally brace, and so let's keep on warming him up and work the shoulder until we feel we're meeting the brace that I'm talking about, okay? So here I'm meeting a point of resistance. It's not necessarily a brace, because it's just the part where he's like, okay, this is about as far as I'm comfortable. A little deeper than that is difficult for me to do. So I'm not going to ask him to stay there, but I'm going to ask him to go as deep as I feel that his body can allow him to, and then I'm going to release and allow him to relax there, okay? So I'm going to give him a few seconds to chill and bring him back into the flexion. So now I'm working on being able to lift his shoulder, and I'm working on him channeling his energy through his diagonal in order to be really, to be able to be really effectively driving his energy forward in his left diagonal to execute maneuvers going to the left, okay? So this is something that he finds a little difficult to do. So this is something that he needs to spend time doing, and doing a lot, in order to get really soft in the body, okay? Okay, so this is something that I'm going to do 5-10 minutes left and right until my horse's body is really warmed up and he's really going forward and is giving me full control of that shoulder. Now let me show you how I'm going to use this down the road in order to eliminate a brace, let's say, in the rollback, okay? So if I ask him to back up, okay, now he's using his body pretty good. This is a horse, again, that is a little bit naturally tight in the body, so he's dragging his feet. It was difficult to get him to elevate his feet and sit on his hock to back up, and I think that it's very important for any horse to, again, this is like when I have people asking me questions on their horses not really stopping, not committing to the stop. Well, when they back the horse up, the horse is bracing against the hand and it's just dragging its feet, okay? So very important to there is to lift the horse's shoulders, okay? And sit back and use your legs until you feel that the horse's body energy goes from the neck into the back and the feet come up and is using his hind end to pull himself back, okay? This should be very easy to do. This should not cause, the horse should not brace against you, okay? So here, if you notice, just before he gave his body to back up, he braced a little bit against the stop movement. This is a problem of his. I didn't have him set up to stop, and so it was just kind of in anticipation of how I would react to that, okay? So I'm not gonna want to punish him for that just yet anyways, but I don't need, there's this little hesitation and a little brace where he hollows his back just before he actually lifts it to bring himself backwards. So now I'm going to remind him that, hey, when I sit on my pocket and I lower my heel and I take a contact, I want you to bring that energy into your body and start moving backwards. And I need him to be more ready for that as we approach, okay? So there you go. That was better, okay? More of a seamless transition between forward and backward, but still a little bit of a brace, okay? So until this is entirely gone, I'm always going to have that little issue stopping this horse, okay? I know it. And now I'm only walking, but if I was, let's say, let's put him on the spot a little bit and trot, and go forward and then just stop. Oh, there you go. This time he did it a little bit better because what? Well, he wasn't quite as lazy approaching it. He was a little bit more prepared because he was driving himself to it. But again, this is something that I challenge you to take your horse, go out and warm it up, and then whenever you're ready, just give it a test, okay? Just put your horse really loose, go forward a few steps at the trot like this, and then just stop him short like that and back him up and see what happens. If he pushes and braces against your hand or hollows his back or tightens up in the leg, if you feel any parts of the body tighten up doing that, then you know that you got your workout for you, and this is something that you need to work on eliminating, okay? So this is going to be very important, and this is going to be the same thing in every aspect of training your horse, okay? So let's say that he does it too much, and then I'm going to kick him a little bit harder with my leg to say, hey, I need you to move back more, okay? So in his case, it might make him better next time because I've really developed that, but short term, on a horse that is really bracy in these types of situations, he will stop and then he will be like, oh, legs are coming and the horse, and I'm going to get kicked, okay? So this is why that it's very important for you to be the judge at that point in time if you need to not kick and wait for the horse to be like, okay, I didn't get kicked, and then react so that you can reward, and then you can insist a little bit more. So your reaction at the moment that the horse will brace will define how the horse will react down the road, okay? So it's very important for you to be the judge, okay? So if you feel your horse is going, oh shit, then I suggest that you just kind of stay stable, don't justify the brace, wait it out until the horse finally gives and doesn't and realizes that he had nothing to be afraid of. And only when you know 100% for sure that when you asked your horse to come to a stop that he pushed against you because he's like, I don't want to, then in this case you can interfere and work on that problem.